Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. It's been a minute since I've made a big long video like this, and thanks for coming back. Today we got a fun video, which is a shootout of all of the fuzz pedals I have. I've been building a lot of pedal clones recently, and so I have quite a few pedals in my room right now, and I need to get rid of them. But before I did that, I did want to show you them back to back to back through the same rig, and I thought that that would be kind of fun to do. First up, we have a Fuzz Face clone that I built. This one's kind of fun. It's in this really cool like purple enclosure. I placed this knob a little too close to the foot switch, and somehow I stuffed top mounted jacks in here, which was quite an ordeal. You can watch that video there, but it's super fun. BC108 transistors, I think, or BC109, something like that. It's fun to have the bias knob outside, and you can tweak it without having to open up the pedal, which is cool. So silicon Fuzz Face. We have the Benson Stonk Box. I did a big long video reviewing this guy a while back. Super fun pedal. I think I want to replace this for the Storken box, which is Benson's more better version of this that has a bass control, lets you get more kind of Mark I tone bender sounds instead of just zonk machine sounds. But it does truly sound great, and you can get a lot out of it. Thermally controlled bias for the germanium transistors, which is cool. It's got 4 knobs, a lot of cool sounds in it. Looks phenomenal as well, and made right here in Portland, Oregon, which is dope. Next, this is one of the newest ones to me. This is a JHS Legends of Fuzz Bender. So JHS recently discontinued the Legends of Fuzz, and this is the Bender, based on the Mark III tone bender that Josh has that he likes. We got the JHS Supreme, which is just incredible super fuzz. It's so fun, has the different switches on the side, and just again, these enclosures are just super cool. So I really like the Legends of Fuzz. They're really great. From Electro-Harmonix, we have the Ram's Head Big Muff reissue. This one is really great. Did a bunch of videos on that. And then I also have a Lizard Queen clone that I built. It's really fun, super great circuit, really fun to mess around with. Disgusting noises. It's great. We have a Earthquaker Devices Bit Commander. The octave up sound on this is pretty octave fuzz-like, kind of like an Octavia type of sound. It's super gnarly sounding. So you can blend in the other voices to make it sound cool as well. I built this Expandora, which is, if you know the JHS kilt, the kilt is based on the Expandora. Very cool. The forbidden mode is quite fuzzy and can get spitty. It's some great textures in there. Really, really fun. The Expandora is like 2 rats, so I decided to include my rat clone because it can kind of get fuzz-like. It has germanium diodes or silicon or LED diodes. And then also included my Colorsound Power Boost clone, which is super fun and can get kind of fuzzy as well. My rig is Jazzmaster with the Curtis Novak wide range JM in the bridge. It's splittable via pulling up on the tone knob. I'll try to put annotations to tell you. And it's got a Mojotone 59 clone in the neck. We're running straight into the pedals, and then the rest of the pedals on the board. We got a little reverb for some of the comparisons, but I'm not using anything else. TONEX 1, aside from the TONEX 1. So we have my Ampeg over here on the right, and then the orange TH30, the captures of those using the TONEX V2, captured those, put them in the TONEX 1s. Sounds real good. I'll do a video talking more about that in the future. And then that's going into, into a DI and then into the Behringer interface into Cubase Artist 13 or something like that. So, and then into your ears. So please enjoy. Let me know which one's your favorite. Let me know what you'd like to hear next. And I'll see you later. So for this next portion of the video, what I'm going to do is we'll pair up two fuzzes and we'll do a little bit of comparison. So I've got the Fuzz Face down here and I've got the Big Muff down here, and we're just going to tweak them, play with them, give you a little flavor for what they do, try to make it pretty quick. I think, unfortunately for the Fuzz Face, it's not a very useful, the fuzz knob on it is pretty dang useless. You pretty much just turn it up most of the way up. It's that last little bit of rotation there at the end is kind of where it's at. You can kind of balance the clean. I know the Analog Man one has a trimmer. I'm only thinking about the Analog Man a bunch, not because I own one, but because I'm about to build a clone of it. It has an internal trimmer to lower the input coming from the guitar, so that way you can get more of a clean tone by dropping the input, the signal coming in, so that you get a true clean. I find that if I just roll the fuzz down just a little bit, that can help me to get a clean on the up. Clean up off the volume knob. But if you turn it past halfway, it's pretty woolly and not very interesting. So let me show you more. Terrible use of the Def Leppard riff. All right, let me show you the bias control. So the bias knob, you set it halfway. That's usually a pretty good spot to set it. That's how the old ones would have been biased. But let's try turning it way down and show you kind of how it gets kind of spitty and stuff. I don't know about you, but I love that like Velcro-y gated stuff. It's really fun. And it's really fun that you can get it from such like a vanilla fuzz. Is you just all you have to do is go in there and change the trim pot. I used to have a Jim Dunlop, Jimi Hendrix Fuzz Face Mini, the like teal one. And I remember I went in there and turned the trim pot down one day, and it was the best day. It sounded awesome. So I love doing the trim pot thing. And now I have it externally, so that's fun. If you bring the bias the other way, bring it closer to 9 volts, you get a different kind of sound. It's much louder. You can push the bias up, which in my opinion makes it not as pleasant sounding. I think if you kind of go to this position, kind of like 1 o'clock, you can get some smoother, less scoop tones, which can work. But yeah, I definitely prefer it. Kind of 4.5 volts is really where it's at. Just gives you the best. And then you can really turn it down to give you that spitty thing. But it's great to have the bias on the outside. So I really like doing that. Okay, let's move on to the Big Muff. This is an Electro-Harmonix Ram's Head Big Muff reissue. It's pretty simple. We got volume, sustain, and tone, screw bypass, all that good stuff. The Big Muff uses 4 transistors, and it's much less sensitive to where it sits in the pedal chain. So you can put it after a buffer, and it doesn't really care. It's much less sensitive to the volume knob. I think a lot of people, because the fuzz face to them is fuzz, they think that every fuzz should clean up off the volume knob. That's just not true. The Big Muff is very much a fuzz, and it does not clean up very well off the volume knob. Hopefully that gave you a good flavor of what the Big Muff is capable of. If you like Pink Floyd, if you like Smashing Pumpkins, if you like Jack White, you got to get a Big Muff because it's the best. It's so awesome for that type of stuff. We got the Benders here. We got Mark 1 Zonk Machine. Mark 1 and Zonk Machine are similar. Zonk Machine is thinner by a lot, so this is going to be more thin sound than the Mark 1 Tone Bender. Got a Mark 3 kind of silicon JHS Bender. We have a tone control and a JHS mode switch. I've tried to orient this so you can kind of see the knob positions. I'll try to call them out as well on the screen. Benson Stonk Box has a bunch of other stuff going on. It's got a, it uses germanium transistors, but there's a thermal, like a resistor that heats the transistors so that they're stay in the right bias. And then you have like, this one would be like more like the original attack control. And then you also have a tone control. Wide open will sound like the Zonk Machine, and you have a lot more volume on tap. So let's go. That thing is good. I think the only thing is I wish it had like a button for like that extra bass from the Mark 1. But Benson also makes this other pedal called the Stonk Box, which has an additional oscillation foot switch and a bass control. So I'm going to probably get that one next to replace this one. I will do a shootout of the two because I think that would be very fun. But this thing does sound great, and it's genuinely really nasty sounding and super fun. So I still love this one. Still highly recommend this if you're looking for true germanium fuzz that doesn't sound like a Fuzz Face or a Big Muff. Let's play around more with the Bender. So yeah, I mean, this thing is really fun. The JHS mode adds a nice spitty thing to it. The volume jumps a whole lot. That's one thing I don't love about it, is that the volume jumps a lot when you change the JHS mode and when you adjust the tone control. The tone control, I wish this thing got brighter, but if it's a replica of Josh's old one, then whatever, then that's what it is. It is what it is. I think it sounds really fun. It's very thick. It's very pleasant sounding, I think, as far as fuzzes go. It like isn't quite as woolly and lower gain as the Fuzz Face, but it has more aggression and punch. But it's also not like nasty sounding like the Stonk Box is. Let me test the volume cleanup on the Stonk Box and we'll switch gears. One last comment about the Stonk Box. It doesn't clean up. Both of these do not clean up exceptionally well, but they do clean up better than a Big Muff. One thing I'll say about the Stonk Box is that it is one of the only fuzzes I know of that I've played that truly, truly allows you to hear what's going into it. Like when I switched the neck pickup, you could really hear the clank of the single coil. That's something that just the other Bender doesn't do. The Fuzz Face will do when you turn it down. The Big Muff definitely doesn't do. So that's one point towards the Stonk Box, is that it has a ton of clarity that you really hear what goes in. So what goes in does come out. Even though it's been mangled and distorted, you still can hear what's going in. So we got the JHS Supreme here, which is a clone of the Univox Super Fuzz, and we've got a clone, my clone that I built, Connor Amplification, holla at your boy, for a pedal. You have to pay for it though. Of the Lizard Queen, Electro-Harmonix / JHS Lizard Queen. This one has a few mode switches. There's a tone switch on the side, which switches to the Super Fuzz's like really scooped, disgusting sound, or the mid-forward sound. And then there's a JHS mode, of course. We have volume and expand on the top. Let's go. I'm going to start with the Super Fuzz. It's just insane how nasty that scoop sound is. It's just bonkers. It sounds incredible so much. This is like one of the most genuinely fun pedals there is. I know there's some Behringer. I think there's like a Behringer Super Fuzz that's like super cheap, way smaller than this, you know, more pedal board friendly. You know, everyone loves to be like, oh, they charge $180 for this and their Behringer costs $30. It's like, yeah, you're paying for the nice enclosure and it's made in the US. Or was. They discontinued it. So anyways, I think the Supreme is brilliant. It's epic. Expand knob, I don't really like it under halfway. Halfway is kind of okay. I mostly use it in the all buttons out mode, like it is right now, this mode. versus this one, the scooped one. But the scooped one is super fun. So let's play around with the JHS mode, which is the other button. So let's test that out. Yeah, I mean, again, it makes it super loud, a little spittier. I think, to me, it's my favorite is just all buttons out, expand at max, volume to taste, and I think it just rips. It's just so much fun. I think everyone should have one of these in their arsenal at some point. You got to have one, even if it's the Behringer one or if it's one of these Legends of Fuzz. I think it's amazing. It's just so weird sounding that I think everyone needs to try it at least once. Okay, let's move on to the Lizard Queen. Again, we have octave and balance and volume. So that's the knobs. I'll tell you what, that is one disgusting sounding fuzz, and actually more tones than I thought would come out of it. So good job, Josh and team, for tuning this circuit. And yeah, I think it's super fun. My friend Dalen has the mini one. I actually haven't, I've played with it a little bit, but I haven't actually owned it. But this one's been super fun. I haven't played with it a ton, as you can tell. I'm discovering new things as we play it here. But yeah. Lizard Queens are only 99 bucks. They're probably a lot cheaper used because they're super popular and people buy them, don't understand them, and sell them. So, editor's note, I just found out that the Lizard Queen has been discontinued in 2025. I think Electro-Harmonix is still making the Lizard King, which is a bass version with a clean blend. Okay, we got the Bit Commander down here. The Bit Commander is not strictly a fuzz, and neither is the Expandora, and we'll get into the Expandora in a minute. But it does have a couple of, it's kind of like supposed to be a synth, quote unquote, but the analog octave up is a fuzz, basically. It's very similar to the Octavia, I think, in some respects, in that it uses a transformer, and it kind of sounds like one. And so we're going to show you that. It also has kind of a bass sound, which is kind of fuzzy, and also has a low-pass filter. Yeah, baby. That's disgusting. I love it. It's really gross. It definitely gets more Octavia-like when you go to the neck pickup, go above the 12th fret, and it's really fun. There's no gain control on it, but I don't really care. I mean, honestly, just for this sound, it's worth the price of admission alone. Plus, you blend in the other stuff, too. You get the other stuff, you know, in addition to that, like... Expandora time. So we have volume, tone, forbidden toggle, gain on the second stage, bass cut, and main drive control. I'm going to actually take it out of forbidden mode, and we'll go through the other range a little bit, and then we'll get to forbidden mode in a minute. Woo-wee! That one is epic. So you can really get some spitty textures out of it by pulling the drive or gain knob down. I don't know what to call both of these, but this is the normal drive knob on an older Expandora, like a V3. So if you just pull that knob down almost off, it gets spittier. Bass cut on is kind of fun with the really thick mode. But it's crazy because this thing could do so much. So that's why this is like my new favorite pedal. It's just epic. You can do everything with it. Okay, let's do the Rat and the power boost, and we'll call it a day. Thanks. All right, we got the power boost down here and the Rat. I'm going to do the Rat first since it's kind of related to the Expandora, so you can kind of hear the two kind of-ish side by side. There's really double the gain in the Expandora, and so it's same diode to ground clipping configuration, but different everything else pretty much. This one has 3 modes. You can see it's V, T, and D, standing for vintage, turbo, and dirty. So we have silicon, LED, and germanium diode clipping. Germanium sounds the most fuzz-like. Filter, this one also has a presence control. I'm just going to leave that at noon, which sounds rat-y. Volume and drive. Power boost, you got a volume and drive. The original power boost, of course, had no volume control, so this one's kind of a modern power boost. It's not the most fuzzy, but so we're gonna kind of run the drive pretty high, but it's got the active bass and treble, which is super fun. So I don't know, I thought it was a fuzzy-ish device and it would sound fun paired up with the other one. So take that as you will. If you want to buy one of these, I can make you one. Hit up your boy. Okay, let's go. Yeah, I mean, it's fuzzy. It's not like a fuzz, so, but anyway, hope that was interesting. I think the germanium sounded the most fuzz-like, but honestly, a silicon rat or a turbo rat can also kind of do it. The germanium one is the most fun for me, but it's a very big volume difference between the diode options. So anyways, let's do the power boost. Very fun. Yeah, I mean, it's not like a fuzz, but it's still a lot of fun. So I think it's a really cool circuit, super flexible. The EQ is very, very powerful. Runs internally at 18 volts, and it came out a long time ago, back in the 70s. So thanks for watching my Fuzz Shootout. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please hit the subscribe and like if you thought that this was fun, interesting, or helpful at all. Let me know what you'd like to see next, and I'll see you around. Bye.